Hey, it's Ash from Revolution Me. A question I get asked a lot from parents is how can I help my kids better regulate their emotions? And my response is that there's three things you need to make sure you're doing to maximize the chances of that happening. So, the first one is to know what you want. So many people will say things like, I don't want my kids to hit, I don't want them to bite, I don't want them to swear when they're angry or frustrated. And that's all well and good, but you haven't actually told me what it is that you do want. And you need to be really, really clear on the kind of behavior that you want your kids to demonstrate. So you might say, I want them to respond by taking 10 deep breaths. Or I want them to bounce on the trampoline if they're feeling stressed out. Whatever it is, whatever works for you, you got to make sure that you're framing it in terms of what you do want, not what you don't want. Okay, the second thing is that you need to make sure your expectations are realistic. Because remember, kids have young brains. Their brains aren't developed enough yet to have the same kind of emotion regulation capabilities as adults. So we have the ability to put the brakes on our behavior. So if we want to punch someone in the face, most of us are able to inhibit that, and kids just don't necessarily have those brakes developed yet. So that's why kids will often lash out in ways that we would deem unacceptable. So it's really important to make sure that your expectations are realistic, and you can't expect a 4-year-old or even an 8-year-old to respond in the way that, say, a 15-year-old would. There's also a second part to this. Sometimes parents say to me, I don't want my kids to get so angry, or I don't want my kids to get so frustrated or worried or fearful or anxious. And that's actually not a realistic expectation to have, because remember, these unpleasant emotions are just a part of life. The only way to avoid anger and stress and worry is to not do anything. It's to not do anything new, not take any chances, not try something that might be a bit challenging or something that might be a bit difficult, because anything in life that causes us to grow and to become better people is probably going to be riddled with challenges. And in fact, one of the ways that we know that we're growing as people is because we're facing obstacle after obstacle. And it's not about not experiencing negative emotions, it's about being able to manage them in a healthy way. And that brings me to the third step, which is however you want your kids to respond to their unpleasant emotions, you need to make sure that you're doing it as well. Because if we're falling to pieces every time we get stressed, or if we punch the wall, or we swear whenever we get angry, and if we don't want our kids to do those things, then we're totally sending mixed messages. We need to make sure that however we want our kids to respond, we're doing that as well. And kids will learn from our example, because it gets very confusing if we say one thing and we do the complete opposite. So I trust you found this video useful. If you got any questions, leave me a comment below and I will catch you next time.